I. Field activities. 1. American Forces Information Service, assimilated into LAFKI as part of the People's Media. 2. Defense Technical Information Center, assimilated into LAFKI under the 6M delay when applicable. 3. Economic Adjustment Office, assimilated into the general duties of the PHMC. 4. DoD Education, assimilated into the basic functions of LAFKI's free education system, being that all citizens will be military families. 5. Human Resources, assimilated into the general function of the PHMC. 6. Tri-Care Management, assimilated into the Populus health system. All current beneficiaries are grandfathered into their policy. No new policies shall be accepted. This department is disbanded upon the expiration of the final recipient. 7. Washington Headquarters Services, assimilated. All 2,000 contract employees are disbanded and rehired as employees of the PHMC if necessary. 8. Prisoner of War Missing Personnel Office, maintained. J. Joint Service Schools. 1. Defense Acquisition University. 2. Defense Resource Management. 3. Joint Military Intelligence Colleges. 4. National Defense University. 5. Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences, assimilated into the Militia College of LAFKI. 4. Department of Energy. A. Fossil Energy, disbanded. Ensuring that we can continue to rely on clean, affordable energy from our traditional fuel resources is the primary mission of the DOE's Office of Fossil Energy. Obviously, they plainly admit they have no intention of eliminating fossil fuel use and going to fully renewable energies regardless of the cost. They are thus immediately disbanded as a threat to mankind and the planet. B. Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, disbanded. All large energy facilities will be equally owned by the populace in their regulation, a predetermined transmission value based upon operating cost. The amount of large energy facilities in the individualistic society is reduced due to the amount of self-generation. Only the populace shall grant permission to build facilities, not an independent agency which is funded by charging those it regulates. C. Civilian Radioactive Waste Management, assimilated. The need for nuclear power is lessened with individualistic self-generation of energy. Thus, the production of radioactive wastes is curbed. D. Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, assimilated. This department's name is all that is kept. Instead of producing any real solutions, this department spins its wheels and wastes the taxpayers' money. It often hands out millions for audits and research to large corporations and universities whose findings do not become publicly owned even though the public has funded them. This money will be put directly to solutions by the PHMC, one first action being the construction of conversion facilities. E. Energy Information Administration, assimilated into LAFKI. F. Environmental Management, assimilated. The need for nuclear power is lessened with individualistic self-generation of energy. Thus, the production of radioactive wastes is curbed. G. National Laboratories, assimilated. All laboratories will be strictly monitored by the GEP to avoid instances such as the DOE transporting weapons across country in modified armored 18-wheelers. This has nothing to do with the taxpayers' money spent on energy efficiency. All projects will be directed by the fully aware will of the people. H. National Nuclear Security Administration, assimilated. However, all information placed under the 6M policy when applicable. I. Nuclear Energy, Science and Technology, assimilated, yet all results are owned equally by the people, being that the people funded it and the people, the tax-paying scientists, developed it. At the people's direction, the 6M policy may be applied. J. Office of Health, Safety and Security, assimilated into the general functions of the PHMC. K. Office of Science, assimilated. All projects shall be directed by the people, and all results owned equally by the people, being that the people funded it and the people, the tax-paying scientists, developed it. The information will thus be immediately published at LAFKI. L. Office of Scientific and Technical Information, assimilated into LAFKI. This department makes an attempt at the vision of LAFKI, but it is disorganized, cumbersome, and restrictive. It will be redefined and incorporated into the unrestricted LAFKI system. M. Power Administrations. 1. Bonneville Power Administration. 2. Southeastern Power Administration. 3. Southwestern Power Administration. 4. Western Area Power Administration, assimilated. These plants sell electricity to pay operating and infrastructure costs as well as the cost of their initial construction. All of these costs and debts will be audited by the GEP. The debt, which is owed to the taxpayers who funded the project, is divided between each tax-paying customer of that locality, generating a dollar figure which is converted into the amount of energy these individuals are given for free, thus repaying the debt. Then the only costs would be the cost of maintenance divided by collective annual consumption to give a predicted yearly price per kilowatt hour paid by each customer, possibly amounting to less than half the previous expense. The need for these power administrators will decrease as self-generation becomes prevalent. All sites not hydropower will be dismantled. Any overages of electricity will cause Populus facilities to be built near such plants to smelt ores, charge batteries and magnets, etc. N. Office of Administration. Maintained. 6. Department of Housing and Urban Development. HUD. A. Community Planning and Development. Disbanded. No group is favored in the individualistic society. Community planning and development will be directed by the people's wishes. Those who are not self-sufficient and jobless may join a laborhood to learn such skills. B. Government National Mortgage Association. Ginnie Mae. Disbanded. The people's money will not be used to assist private banks, mortgage lenders, to profit while returning no money to the people. Furthermore, the people will no longer take the loss for the private bank should the debtor default. C. Multifamily housing. Disbanded. All necessary government housing projects will be built as laborhood projects. D. Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity. Disbanded. Discrimination is common sense in the individualistic society. There is no need for a department funded on public money to hand out public money to ensure common sense. Too often, fair and equal become biased themselves, and only one group ends up benefiting from the funds of the entire group. Enforcement powers of these departments are similarly used to leverage unfair advantages in the name of equality. Private entities have the right to refuse anyone for any reason. Conversely, Populus facilities must be equal and will be constantly monitored by the people due to the networking mechanics of the individualistic society, thus have no need for such a biased department. E. Office of Federal Housing Enterprise Oversight. Disbanded. This division openly admits its loyalty to two massive private entities. Quote, OFHEO's mission is to promote housing and a strong national housing finance system by ensuring the safety and soundness of Fannie Mae, Federal National Mortgage Association, and Freddie Mac, Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation. End quote. This department is disbanded without delay along with those it protects. F. Federal National Mortgage Association. Fannie Mae. Not actually a department of HUD, but will be discussed here. Disbanded. The second largest U.S. financial institution, it is a government-founded agency turned private after a 30-year monopoly of the secondary mortgage market, but masks as a public entity due to its public investors who are all private entities. With a revenue of $58.3 billion, it is allowed to sell securities with only half the capital to back it up. This creature was founded on the public's money and should have remained as such. Instead, it was handed to private entities, which is the stealing of public assets. It will be returned and disbanded. Its assets shall be redistributed to more logical and just causes. G. Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation. Freddie Mac. Not a department of HUD, but will be discussed here. Disbanded. Like its twin above, it was only created to be a competitor against Fannie Mae. With a $44 billion revenue, this creature will be dismantled just as the private banks. Usury in any form is forbidden in the individualistic society. H. Office of Healthy Home and Lead Hazard Control. Disbanded. This is the responsibility of the homeowner, not the society. I. Office of Housing. Disbanded. Supports the Expanding American Home Ownership Act, which should rightly be called the Expanding American Private Bank Ownership Act. This does nothing more than ensure that everyone possible is indebted to a bank, most likely paying minimum payments, thus buying the home 2 or 3 times, if they do not default, which merely starts the money making all over again for the bank on that one property, which most likely had less than half the capital to back the loan initially. In the guise of kindness and assistance, the people are raped by usury and reduced to a lifetime of indentured servitude. J. Office of Public and Indian Housing. Disbanded. No assistance other than the neighborhood programs are offered. For elderly and disabled, one of their able-bodied family members may sign on to a neighborhood in their behalf. Benefits to Indians are discussed elsewhere in this paper. K. Policy Development and Research. Disbanded. Due to the fact that the entirety of HUD has been disbanded, there is no need for policies. All public housing will be handled by the Neighborhood Program, a joint effort between PHMC and LAFKI. 7. Department of the Interior. A. Bureau of Indian Affairs. Disbanded. This 55.7 million acres of land will not be held in trust by the U.S. government. It will be given to these people for decimating their culture. 9 acres per surviving Indian shall be given tax-free, complete with a free neighborhood home. Education programs will continue, but will encourage the teaching of their heritage as well. B. Bureau of Reclamation. Assimilated. The distribution of water and power shall be lessened with the growth of self-generation. Surplus resources will be utilized to assist the individualistic goals. Surplus water will be used to generate additional electricity in solar steam towers. C. Fish and Wildlife Service. Assimilated. However, one area dismantled will be the giving of grants, taxpayer money, for international purposes, such as the $5.8 million currently proposed. D. Geological Survey. Assimilated into the GEP. E. Mineral Management Service. Assimilated. No private entity will be given permission to explore populous land for resources. All expeditions will be directed by the populace and conducted by the PHMC, and all resources found will be the property of the populace. Too often are the oil, gas, and other private resource corporations on public land and paying no royalties to the people because of the compromised members of the government with interest in those businesses. F. Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation, and Enforcement. Assimilated. The mining of coal shall be significantly reduced with the fossil fuel tax and increased self-generation. Reclamation operations will continue on the bill of the private entities which have caused the damage. This office will regulate all mining, public and private. G. National Interagency Fire Center, National Park Service, Bureau of Land Management. Maintained, all relatively unaltered. 8. Department of Transportation. A. Federal Aviation Administration. Disbanded. This division is thoroughly compromised by corporate interests and is suspect in many disasters, amongst other things. The general functions of this department will be performed by the PHMC, monitored by the GEP. B. Bureau of Transportation Statistics. Assimilated into the GEP. C. Federal Highway Administration. Assimilated. No contracts will be given to private entities. All works will be constructed at the direction of the people by the PHMC. D. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Assimilated. This policy is altered too often, causing the drivers to take the brunt of the punishments for driving faulty company vehicles. The punishments will henceforth be delivered to the owners of the vehicles. E. Federal Railroad Administration. Assimilated. All activities such as research and assistance to rail industry will be strictly for populace-owned rails. No taxpayer assistance will be given to private rails. F. Maritime Administration. Assimilated. All ships owned by the populace will not carry foreign commerce or domestic commerce to foreign lands. Populace carriers will have usage fees to cover operational costs. All surplus funds are returned equally to the populace. G. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Assimilated. This division's regulatory powers will be revised. Too often they are used to leverage unfair advantage in favor of the massive U.S. auto industry and impede all others, such as very small manufacturers with innovative designs. H. Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. Assimilated. Regulations of this agency will be refined and made more strict and monitored closely by the GEP. I. Research and Innovative Technology Administration. Assimilated into the GEP. J. St. Lawrence Seaway Development Corporation. Assimilated. K. Surface Transportation Board. Assimilated. Its regulatory powers will be revised and its jurisdiction over the rails maintained as the rails are switched to populace control. L. Federal Transit Administration. Maintained. C. Other departments assimilated. A. FCC. Disbanded. Any entity with this much regulatory power can be easily used as a tool to disadvantage some and assist others. Regulation of any sort will be discussed and voted upon by the populace alone. As for freedom of speech, violence, and indecency, these things cannot be hindered. As terrible as it may sound, once one limits personal freedom in the slightest way, one is no longer in a free state. See note below. Such limitation can be increased until one cannot speak about one's own government, etc. It is the parents and the viewers who are responsible for what they and their children listen to and watch, not the society. The nature of an artist or broadcast station will be thus clearly seen for its level of evolution, and will be consequently avoided by those seeking less debased activities. Debased artists and stations will therefore only attract the debased, who will be few in number due to the spread of individualistic philosophy, thwarting the artists and programming of such natures by common sense, not by the restriction of freedom. Note, the argument here is that individualism limits business size. It does not limit business size until 100 people, and then minimally. Collections of people controlled by a private owner are units of power allotted to that one owner. In no way upon one's own can one become that powerful without the assistance of many people. Thus, the power is unnatural and must be regulated. Personal, or singular power, that is, individual freedom, cannot be limited.